Every single night, my mom would use up a live snake. And every snake she used would end up foaming at the mouth and dying. That is, until she caught a green snake with a strange bump on its head. Who would have thought? The snake actually spoke in a human voice, saying, "Big sister, you are my very last trial. If you spare my life, I swear, I'll make you the richest person around." My mom knew the difference between a quick payout and a lifetime of wealth. So, not only did she nod and agree, she actually struck a secret deal with the green snake. And from that day on, my mom became completely obsessed with building coffins. You see, our coffins could do more than just keep women forever young. They could also restore a man's vitality. Every single day, there was an endless line of people at our door, begging for a coffin. My mom relied on this exact skill to raise me. But the other kids in the village, they hated that our yard was filled with coffins. They thought it was totally cursed. None of them dared to play with me. The only one who stayed by my side was that little green snake. We'd play together during the day, and sleep in the same bed at night. That was, until one day, my mom locked herself in the workshop. She stayed awake for 7 straight nights, building 5 very special coffins. These 5 coffins were all different colors, and my mom called them the 5 elements coffins. These 5 coffins were sent out to 5 families in the city who were on the edge of bankruptcy. In exchange, she secured me 5 marriage contracts, all stamped with bloody handprints. And the 5 families who received those 5 elements coffins, in just a few short years, they became the top 5 wealthiest families in the entire city. Every single year, they would bring their precious daughters to the village to pay their respects to my mom. But I always felt like those rich girls didn't really like me at all. Whenever they looked at me, their eyes were just full of this arrogant, stuck-up disgust. They thought I was dirty. Honestly, I used to think that as long as I kept my head down and stayed out of trouble, I could just live a normal, quiet life. But when I turned 9, huge, dark bruises suddenly broke out all over my body. My mom took one single look at me and immediately announced to everyone that she was retiring for good. She swore she would never build another coffin again, and almost like magic, right from that moment, the bruises on my body completely vanished. I actually asked my mom about it, asking why my sickness suddenly went away just because she stopped building coffins. But my mom just looked at me, dead serious, and said, "Your sickness isn't cured, because you're already dead. The life you're living right now, I stole it for you." Her words scared the absolute life out of me. For a second, I had no idea what to even say. But she just stared at me with this deadly serious look. "Your life," she continued, "was stolen from a dragon coffin inside the cave of 10,000 spirits. And for some reason, your body holds the energy of a true dragon. For the last 9 years, the only reason you've survived is because I've been building those coffins. I was trading your dragon energy for the life force of the villagers. That's how I barely managed to keep you alive until today. But your dragon energy is running out. I can't build any more coffins." She warned me over and over again that from now on, every year on this exact day, right when the aura of death is at its absolute peak, I absolutely had to hide inside a coffin. It was the only way to hide from the underworld reapers hunting for my soul. Later that night, a freezing, unnatural wind howled furiously outside. It sounded like demons crying out in the dark, and then, I heard something frantically scratching at the wooden boards of my coffin. I was lying there all alone in the pitch-black darkness, shaking uncontrollably with fear. Cold sweat completely soaked through my clothes. And even worse, I could feel the aura of death just surging wildly inside my body. The pain was so agonizing that my whole body went into violent spasms. But right at that terrifying moment, the little green snake that had grown up with me suddenly squeezed its way through a tiny crack in the coffin boards and slithered smoothly right into my arms. In the darkness, a faint, delicate fragrance suddenly filled the air. It completely washed away the rotting stench inside the coffin. In my hazy state, I realized the thing in my arms was no longer a cold little snake, but a breathtakingly beautiful girl. Her skin was as pale as pristine snow. Her face was so incredibly gorgeous, she looked just like an angel fallen from heaven. She was the most beautiful person I had ever laid eyes on in my entire life. Her ice-cold body pressed gently against my bruised skin, slowly gliding across it. A soothing, tingling sensation washed over my skin, and to my surprise, the agonizing pain inside me actually began to fade away. it was replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace. It felt like, as long as she was right there with me, absolutely nothing in this world could ever hurt me. That is, until early the next morning. My mom yanked me straight out of the coffin, and that's when I realized the little green snake was gone. I frantically rushed inside the house to look for her. I tore through every single corner of our home. There wasn't a single trace of her anywhere. Instead, I noticed something on my wrist. Without me even noticing, a tiny green snake bracelet, with its head gently biting its tail, had wrapped itself right around my arm. And so, starting from that exact day, my mom began teaching me all sorts of mystical, dark arts every single day. This went on right up until I turned 16. Then, a sudden, terrifying wave of bad luck cursed the whole village. It honestly felt like someone had cast a vicious hex on us. Every single farm animal in the village dropped dead overnight. A bunch of strong, healthy guys went up the mountain to chop wood, and they all mysteriously ended up with shattered legs. As for me, my own body started falling apart too. The dark bruises on my hands had actually mutated into patches of pitch-black scales. Those scales were rock-hard and freezing cold to the touch. The edges were razor-sharp, and even the slightest graze would send a blinding, agonizing pain straight to my core. Even just getting dressed became pure torture for me. My mom locked herself away in her room, burning heavy incense and violently performing fortune-telling rituals all night long. When she finally stepped out, her beautifully dark, shiny hair had turned completely dead white. She looked absolutely drained and frail. She glared viciously toward the distant town, and through gritted teeth, she snarled, "The life force feeding you, and the dragon aura deep inside you, someone stole them both." As the village's horrible luck kept getting worse, the very same neighbors who used to worship my mom started fiercely stabbing us in the back. Some even snuck over at midnight, splashing black dog blood all over our front door. There were even toxic rumors spreading around, claiming that my mom was some twisted, ancient monster sucking the life force out of everyone. They screamed that the coffins we made were cursed, evil things draining their souls. And then, the inevitable happened. The village chief, dragging along over a dozen furious men, violently kicked down our front door. They blamed us for all the miserable luck. They aggressively pointed fingers, swearing up and down that my mom was cursing them with dark magic. Acting like ruthless thugs, they started grabbing the last few scraps of food and anything of value we had left. They completely ransacked us. "You wicked witch, if you hadn't built those evil, cursed coffins in the first place, our village wouldn't be rotting in this misery. Consider this food as payback for everyone here. If you ever dare to pull your demonic tricks again, we'll kick you both right out of the village." I was furious. I tried to unleash my death aura to fight back, but my mom grabbed me tight, holding me back with all her might. She dropped her voice and frantically warned me, "Do not use your powers before your wedding night, no matter what. Otherwise, the Grim Reapers will come to drag you to hell." A few of the villagers who couldn't find anything worth stealing just started beating us mercilessly to vent their rage. Desperately trying to protect me, my mom was violently kicked to the ground, coughing up a massive, terrifying pool of blood. Ever since that horrible day, whenever I walked through the village, the way everybody stared at me was just filled with pure, blatant disgust and pure hatred. Even the little kids would throw heavy rocks at me. But whenever the agonizing pain from those scales made me wish I was dead in the dead of night, or when I hid under my covers quietly crying my eyes out, the little green snake bracelet on my wrist would always start to glow softly, followed by an incredibly gentle, cool, soothing touch. It would soothe my wrist, just like that stunningly beautiful girl from back then, holding me tight inside the coffin. The year I turned 18, my mom suddenly disappeared without a trace. I searched every single corner of the village, but finally found her inside a wooden coffin in our own home. Her eyes were shut tight, and her face was completely drained of color. Terrified that something terrible had happened to her, I tried to shake her awake, but suddenly, she spoke up and asked, "Chenin, how old are you this year?" I jumped in shock, but quickly answered, "I was born in the year of the rabbit, on September 9th. And I just turned 18 today." Hearing my answer, my mom shot up from inside the coffin. "No, you were born in the year of the dragon, on September 9th, at 9:09. You only just turned 17 yesterday." I was so confused. Was my mom hallucinating? But suddenly, she coughed up a massive mouthful of black blood and let out a chilling, desperate laugh. We won. We won. We finally won." Her crazed look terrified me. I nervously asked her what exactly we had won. Her voice slowly grew louder and more intense. Chen-in, I told you before, I stole you out of the dragon coffin. Your identity is extraordinary, and because I forcefully borrowed life for you, we were already defying the heavens. All the life energy I borrowed over the years couldn't fully merge with your body, which is why those strange mutations happened to you. And before you turned 18, you were destined to face the deadly tribulations of heaven and earth. That's why I purposely added a year to your age. It was a trick to deceive the heavens. I made the heavenly tribulation strike early, so it wouldn't happen at the exact same time as the earthly tribulation. Today, Mom already took that heavenly tribulation for you. I stared blankly at my mom, my mind completely unable to process all of this. My mom slowly dragged herself out of the coffin. With trembling hands, she pulled out 5 marriage contracts wrapped in red silk from her coat. She shoved them into my hands. These are the marriage contracts I traded with the 5 elements officials for back then. These 5 girls are all phoenix women with extraordinary destinies. Next year, the earthly tribulation will strike. Take these contracts to the city, and choose one of these girls to marry. Nourishing her with your life energy every night will slowly dissolve the aura of death surrounding you. But, even if I pick one of them, would they actually agree to it? My mom coughed violently, spitting out another mouthful of black blood. Then, she gently comforted me. If those girls know what's good for them, they should be begging to marry you, to pay off the debt their families owe from back then. She said this, her eyes locked onto the green woven bracelet on my wrist. She weakly, yet fiercely, warned me, remember this bracelet. No matter what happens, you must never, ever lose it. And the moment those words left her lips, she took her last breath. She collapsed heavily into a pool of her own blood. It wasn't until that exact moment that I noticed the medical records scattered under her bed. It turned out she had been battling terminal bone cancer all along. But she never told me a thing. I dropped hard to my knees, clutching those 5 marriage contracts as I sobbed uncontrollably, my heart completely shattered. The next day, out in the muddy courtyard, I built a simple, makeshift mourning shrine for her. It poured freezing rain for 3 days straight. Dressed in worn-out mourning robes, I knelt before the fire basin, burning spirit money for her. The entire village was dead silent. All those neighbors who had once accepted my mother's kindness. Right now, they're all hiding in their homes. Not a single person even came to light a stick of incense. The cold, harsh reality of being abandoned left my heart in ashes. I had originally planned that, after finishing my mother's vigil, I would take the marriage pacts to the city to find my bride. But then, on the afternoon of the 3rd day, a deep, roaring engine echoed from afar. 5 top-tier luxury cars pulled up aggressively, parking right outside the gate of my run-down little courtyard. The car doors swung open, and 5 glamorous young women stepped out. Wearing delicate high heels, they were shielded by black umbrellas held by bodyguards in dark suits. They walked right into my courtyard, which was covered in burnt paper ashes. The sharp, expensive scent of their perfume instantly masked the smell of burning ash in the morning hall. Because of the commotion from the luxury cars, the villagers who had been hiding far away were now crowded around my gate, eager to watch the drama unfold. The girl leading them was dressed in a striking, deep red couture gown. She walked up to the morning hall and took the incense handed to her by a bodyguard. She bowed respectfully 3 times. Beside her, a girl wearing a long purple dress had slightly red eyes, even gently dabbing at the corners with a tissue. I am Zhang Shuman, daughter of the Zhang family. The girl in the red dress turned around, her voice as soft and gentle as a spring breeze. And this is Su Mengyao, of the Su family, along with our sisters from the Bai, Lu, and Shen families. You must be Chen-in, right? Hearing those 5 names, and looking at those stunning, vaguely familiar faces in front of me, a violent shudder ran through my whole body. Zhang Shuman, Su Mengyao, my mind raced, flashing back to the 5 marriage pacts my mother had shoved into my hands right before she died. The birth dates and names on them, they were a perfect match. It was really them. They were the exact same 5 girls from my childhood who were always disgusted by how dirty I was. And now, they were the 5 fiancés my mother had left for me. We heard Auntie Chen passed away. Auntie Chen showed immense kindness to our 5 families back then. Zhang Shuman took a step forward, her beautiful eyes gazing at me, filled to the brim with pity. We came specifically to see her off on her final journey. And while we're here, to settle the promises from back then. Settle the promises? Did that mean they actually wanted to marry me? Tears instantly welled up in my eyes. At a time when the whole village treated me like a cursed freak. These girls I hadn't seen in years actually came to honor their promise. Su Mengyao also stepped forward, her eyes slightly red. That's right, Chen-in. As long as you bring out the marriage pacts and choose one of us, we'll officially get engaged to you right now. From now on, we will never let you suffer another bit of hardship. Hearing those words, the villagers watching from outside the gate instantly exploded into an uproar. Oh, come on, you wealthy young ladies. You've definitely got the wrong house. This kid is completely cursed. He even has disgusting black scales growing all over him. Don't let him trick you. Yeah, exactly. They've gotta be those internet influencers from the city. Shooting some prank show, right? Like he deserves a wife. The villagers lowered their voices, pointing their fingers and gossiping. Their eyes filled with thinly veiled jealousy, disgust, and the cruel amusement of watching a joke unfold. But my heart was pounding so hard it was in my throat, and the tears instantly came pouring down. When the entire village shunned me like the plague, these wealthy girls from the city actually came all the way to the countryside just to get engaged to me. Thank you so much. I sobbed, completely overcome with emotion. I frantically rubbed my muddy hands against my mourning clothes, trying desperately to wipe them clean. Treating them like absolute treasures, I carefully took out the 5 marriage contracts, still warm from my body heat, and handed them over. Zhang Shumin took the contracts with extreme gentleness. Looking at the mottled, bloody handprints on them, a barely noticeable gleam flashed in her eyes. Chen-in, we don't need a bride price from you. But since we are here to get engaged, by tradition, there should be a token of our engagement, right? Hearing this, I quickly nodded. I scratched my head, wondering what I could possibly have to give as a token of love. But the very next second, Zhang Shumin's gaze shifted, finally landing on my wrist, right on the cyan bracelet I was wearing. That bracelet of yours is quite beautiful. Why don't we use it as the token of our engagement? And let your future wife keep it safe for you, okay? Hearing those words, I completely froze. Subconsciously, I covered my wrist. This bracelet had long become a part of me. It had been my companion since I was just a little kid. I'm so sorry, but anything but this. I shook my head, taking a fearful step back. I'll find something else for you. However, that single step backward acted like a lit fuse. What the hell is wrong with you? The village chief's wife, watching from the door, couldn't hold back her mockery. 5 rich young ladies are practically begging to marry you. And when they ask for a simple bracelet as a token, you get all stingy and hide it? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? A few other villagers joined in the jeering, their faces full of disgust and jealousy. My face flushed a deep red from the humiliation, my hand hovering in midair, completely at a loss for how to explain myself. Just then, Su Mengyao marched straight up to me. She shot me a reproachful glare, and while I was distracted by my own guilt, she grabbed my wrist tight. She took the bracelet, and with a gentle but undeniable force, slipped it right off, handing it straight to Zhang Shumin. Alright then, now that the token has been given, our marriage is officially settled. Zhang Shumin examined the cyan bracelet in her hand, her eyes gleaming with an inexplicable joy. Right after that, she pulled out a piece of black silk cloth and walked up to me. Chen-in, to celebrate our engagement, we've prepared a little surprise for you. Now, we're going to blindfold you with this cloth. The 5 of us will stand right here. Whoever you end up catching is the one who will consummate the marriage with you tonight. Hearing the words, consummate the marriage, my ears burned intensely, but then I thought of my mother, and I immediately shook my head to refuse. But Zhang Shumin simply tied the black cloth over my eyes, smiling as she whispered, "Your mother visited me in a dream last night. She said her absolute biggest regret was never getting to see you get married. We're just doing this to fulfill her dying wish." At that very moment, I genuinely believed that heaven had finally smiled down on me. But just as the blindfold went on, I caught a fleeting glimpse of Zhang Shumin's face. She suddenly flashed an incredibly sly and wicked smirk. After that, my vision went completely pitch black. All I could hear was the heartbeats and soft breathing of the 5 rich young ladies. Those 7 years of night arts my mother taught me were finally going to be put to good use today. Quietly, I formed a hand seal, activating my technique to hear breathing and sense auras. My perception instantly expanded. Every single detail around me became crystal clear. But I didn't sense a loving fiancé. Instead, I saw Su Mengyao tucking away all 5 marriage contracts. Her eyes were full of absolute disgust as she wiped her hands with an alcohol wipe. Touching the stuff he touched. So gross. I'm gonna have to wash my hands 10 times when we get back. Zhang Shumen was snapping pictures of my snake chain with her phone, probably sending it to someone for confirmation. Hurry it up, make sure you get a clear shot of how stupid this pretty boy looks. Post it to the group chat so everyone can have a good laugh. The other 3 were holding up their phones, snickering to themselves, while keeping their cameras pointed right at me. Look at how excited he is. He actually thinks he's good enough for us. Zhang, stop playing around. Just slap that corpse-sealing talisman on his forehead and let's get out of here. At that exact moment, a sharp, stinging scent of cinnabar, mixed with the foul stench of black dog blood, suddenly pierced my nose. It was the dark ink used for drawing corpse-sealing talismans. I froze completely. So, they weren't here to marry me at all. They were just here to trick me into giving up the contracts and steal my bracelet. And to top it off, they wanted to use this vile trick to humiliate me right in front of my mother's shrine. All to force me to break off the engagements. In that instant, my heart sank to the absolute bottom of the ocean. I gritted my teeth in pure rage. The last string of sanity in my head instantly snapped. I completely ignored my mother's dying wish, her desperate warning to never unleash the aura of death. I forced the suppressed death aura out of my body. The next second, with a loud slam, the broken wooden doors of the shrine were violently blown shut by a bizarre gust of wind. A chilling breeze swept through the once quiet courtyard, and the flames in the fire pan flickered into an eerie green glow. What's going on? Why did the door just shut? The spoiled rich girls shuddered in terror. Su Mengyao leaned into Zhang Shumen's ear. Zhang, do you think it's Aunt Chen's ghost? I just stood there. I kept the blindfold on purpose, pretending I had no idea what was happening. A cold smirk crept up my lips. Why did you guys stop talking? Can I start catching you now? To be honest, I think you're all pretty great. Is it okay if I just take all of you? You, in your dreams. One of the rich girls was about to lose it, but Zhang Shumen held her back. I'll count to 3, and then you can start catching. Fighting back her fear, Zhang Shumen tightly gripped the corpse-sealing talisman with its creepy runes. She crept toward me, ready to slap it right onto my forehead to end this sick prank. But just as she was about to stick it on me, I snapped my hand up and grabbed her wrist with deadly precision. Zhang Shumen gasped in horror, freezing dead in her tracks. Haha, caught you. Through the blindfold, I yanked her arm violently, dragging her roughly against my chest. The death aura surged from my fingertips into her wrist, completely locking down her pressure points. I don't know which one of you this is, but since I've caught you, let's consummate the marriage right now, shall we? Chenin, let go of me this instant. Zhang Shumen finally panicked. The unbearable pain and terror made her thrash around wildly. But in my grip, her pitiful strength was like a helpless little chick. She couldn't break free at all. Just as I was about to rip the mask off this whole charade, just as I was about to teach her a lesson worse than death, an incredibly shrill blast of a suona suddenly pierced through the heavy wall of rain and stabbed straight into my eardrums. That wasn't a tune played by the living. That was the underworld ghost envoys, guiding melody when they come out to harvest souls. My heart gave a violent shudder. Oh no, today is my 18th birthday, the day of my fated death tribulation. I just mobilized my death aura, and it actually summoned the underworld forces this quickly. If I don't stop right now, once those ghost envoys find me, I'll definitely die today. I hastily channeled my energy, instantly suppressing the churning death aura in my body back into my core. The backlash of the death aura made my body jerk violently. My internal organs felt like they had been smashed by a sledgehammer. In an instant, I became extremely weak, my limbs going completely soft. I powerlessly let go of Zhang Shumen's hand. The backlash of the death aura damaged my meridians, meaning I wouldn't be able to use the death aura again for a very long time. As I withdrew my death aura, the sinister wind outside abruptly came to a dead halt. The courtyard gate was shoved open by the combined effort of the villagers outside. I snatched the black cloth off my eyes, looked at the 5 terrified women in front of me, and pretended to ask innocently, "What's going on? Why is the wind so strong? Shumen, weren't we going to?" Smack. Before I could even finish my sentence, Zhang Shumen delivered a vicious backhand slap right across my face. I clutched my cheek, forcefully swallowing the murderous intent in my eyes. And looked at her in feigned disbelief. Shumen, why did you hit me? Didn't you say you wanted to, right in front of my mom's memorial tablet? Consummate our marriage? Are you sick in the head? Jiang Shumen simply couldn't believe her ears, trembling all over with sheer disgust. She suddenly held those 5 marriage contracts high in the air, and right in front of my mother's spirit tablet. With a loud rip, she viciously tore them to shreds. Chen-in, you really are a filthy toad. Lusting after swan meat, totally out of your mind. Why don't you take a good look at your pathetic self in the mirror? Consummate our marriage? Do you even deserve me? In that moment, the shower of shredded paper fluttering down felt like resounding slaps, smashing right into my face. After that, Jiang Shumen's bodyguards tossed me out into the courtyard. I slumped in the muddy water, shivering all over. Right then, the village chief and a few burly men who had been watching in the yard stepped in front of me, gripping their hoes and shovels. What the hell is going on here? Are you trying to bully an orphaned kid from our village who has no mom or dad? The village chief roared with righteous indignation. Looking at that broad, protective back standing in front of me, a sudden glimmer of hope flashed in my eyes. Could it be that some of my fellow villagers still cared about old times? My throat went tight, and I was just about to say thank you, but in the very next second, the village chief completely changed his tune, putting on the face of a sleazy thug and flashing a flattering smile at Jiang Shumen. But hey, business is business. This kid Chen-in has lacked manners since he was little. It's his fault for dirtying your eyes. We'll make him kneel down and apologize to you. However, you guys broke our village rules today. You gotta leave some compensation behind, right? Faced with the village chief's blatant mob extortion, Jiang Shumen let out an extremely disdainful scoff. She didn't take these people seriously at all. You want compensation, huh? Alright then. She snapped her fingers. The bodyguards popped open the black combination briefcases that were supposed to be the dowry. Bundles upon bundles of crisp red bills cascaded onto the dirt. They piled up into a small mountain. The village chief and the locals' eyes instantly glazed over with greed. Their breathing grew heavy, and almost instinctively, they all backed away, hiding behind those 5 rich girls. My heart instantly turned to ice. So these folks didn't come to back me up. They just wanted to squeeze me for whatever they could get, and they probably expected me to get on my knees and thank them for fixing things later. I fought back the sick feeling twisting in my gut. I took a deep breath, my voice dripping with ice. Don't you forget, without my mother's 5 elements coffin, none of you would have the lives you have today. Aren't you afraid of karma? Hearing that, Jiang Shumen acted like it was the funniest joke in the world. She let out a scornful scoff. Karma? Your mother is the one who conned us. How can a corpse marry the living? This marriage contract is nothing but toilet paper. As soon as she said that, the villagers froze. The village chief stammered, Miss Jiang, what do you mean by that? How is Chen-in not a living, breathing person? Jiang Shumen sneered. She ordered her men to pull an ancient bronze bagua mirror from the luxury car. She shoved it right in my face. Chen-in, let everyone see what you really are. Instinctively, I looked up at the mirror. The villagers craned their necks to look at it, too. The crowd instantly erupted into pure chaos. Because in the reflection of that bronze mirror, there was no living human reflection at all. It was just a pitch-black, swirling mass of pure death. He doesn't have a reflection. He's a damn ghost. The village chief stumbled backward in terror. Glad you finally caught on. All that bad luck your village has been having lately? That was no act of God. Jiang Shumen's venomous voice echoed through the pouring rain. It's all because of this walking corpse. He's been leeching your life force to stay alive. You've all been played by his dead mother. The moment she said that, the entire crowd went dead silent. They looked at the blinding piles of cash on the mud, then back at that horrifying, ghostly reflection in the mirror. The villagers' faces twisted with ugly rage. So that wicked old hag conned us all. What are you all standing around for? Smash that old witch's funeral shrine. Hearing that, rage tore through my chest like a jagged knife. That life force was borrowed, plain and simple, and my dragon aura is exactly what made them filthy rich. Because of me, their kids bought mansions in the city. Because of me, they could afford wives. And now they wanted to destroy my mother's shrine? The next second, those folks who used to look at me with such kindness came charging at me with hoes and torches. If any of you dare lay a single finger on her shrine today, I swear to God I'll send you to hell tonight to bow down to her in person. I stood my ground, shielding my mother's shrine with my life. My eyes were bloodshot as I roared at them. I might have been weak. The pure madness in my face still terrified these spineless bullies into taking a step back. They exchanged nervous glances, none of them daring to make a move. As we stood locked in this tense standoff, Jiang Shuman chimed in with a lazy, arrogant drawl. "What are you so afraid of? His energy is completely drained. He's running on fumes. Just smash that shrine to pieces, and I guarantee he won't survive the night. Even if someone dies, my Jiang family will take the fall. Take as much money off the ground as you want." Backed by the rich heiress and driven crazy by the cash scattered everywhere, the villagers completely lost their minds. Throwing all caution to the wind, they kicked over the fire brazier. Clubs rained down on me, and I fought back with everything I had, using my own flesh and blood to desperately shield my mom's memorial tablet. But I was vastly outnumbered. Not to mention, I was already at my absolute weakest from suppressing the aura of death. Taking several heavy blows to my back and head, my vision went pitch black. I could only watch in despair as they marched toward my mom's shrine. Jiang Shuman walked right up to me. Holding that cyan bracelet in her hand, she looked down on me with absolute contempt. A cold smirk on her lips. Just as I was about to pass out from the agonizing pain, there was a sharp crack from the bracelet clutched in Jiang Shuman's hand. Blinding, ghostly white light suddenly burst forth. An aura of absolute, freezing cold violently erupted. In that split second, the pouring rain froze into countless icy spikes suspended in the air. The villagers, who were just frantically smashing the mourning hall, began to move slower and slower. Frost crept over their hose and iron tools. Jiang Shuman let out a blood-curdling scream. Her wrist instantly turned bruised and purple from the frostbite, and the bracelet slipped from her grasp. Before anyone could even process what was happening, the massive phantom of a cyan snake tore through the air, accompanied by a sharp, piercing hiss. As the snake's cold, merciless slit eyes swept across the room, an overwhelmingly powerful pressure crushed down on everyone. Bodyguards and villagers who were shouting just moments ago were violently blasted backward. They slammed heavily into the muddy ground of the courtyard. I slumped on the stone floor of the mourning hall, staring at the giant cyan snake in absolute shock. It was her, the girl who stayed with me in the coffin when I was 9. The one who helped me survive my death tribulation. It turns out she never really left. Instead, she had been sleeping inside the spirit snake bracelet my mom left me since I was little. But just as the cyan snake was about to strike, from outside the courtyard, that same bone-chilling, ghostly Suona music rang out again. An eerie wind began to howl with absolutely zero warning. It felt like the light was instantly sucked out of the sky. The entire courtyard plunged into a deathly darkness. Two tall, thin phantoms wearing high hats silently drifted right through the rain. It was the Grim Reapers from the underworld. They had followed the aura of death I leaked earlier, and finally tracked me down. The cyan snake still stood fiercely in front of me, but I clearly noticed that her massive body was violently shaking. She stared fiercely at the two phantoms outside the gate. Her slit eyes were filled with pure terror, yet she didn't take a single step back. Unable to withstand the terrifying pressure brought by the Grim Reapers, shocking trails of blood actually seeped from the corners of her mouth. But Jiang Shuman and the villagers couldn't see the Grim Reapers outside at all. From their point of view, they only saw this magnificent, intimidating giant snake suddenly freeze in place. Trembling all over, and even coughing up blood. I thought it was some kind of terrifying monster, but it's just a dying snake about to take its last breath. Jiang Shuman scrambled up from the mud, looking at the weakened cyan snake and me, with completely undisguised mockery and disgust in her eyes. "Chenin, you and this dead snake of yours are both just useless little freaks. I won't even bother dirtying my own hands today. You two monsters can just stay here and rot away in this broken mourning hall. Let's go." Jiang Shuman let out a cold laugh and turned her back, taking the other 4 heiresses with her. Their high heels clicked as they stepped into their luxury cars. Seeing this, the villagers, terrified of catching any bad luck, scattered in an absolute panic. They stumbled and crawled as they fled the courtyard. I clenched my jaw so hard it ached, glaring at their taillights as they sped away. The humiliation and pure rage were threatening to tear my chest wide open. The second those cars disappeared, the Phantom Reapers outside the gate made their move. 2 pitch-black soul-reaping chains, reeking of absolute death, shot straight toward the top of my head. "Run!" the green snake let out a desperate, piercing hiss. She forcefully ignited her core lifeblood, violently smashing away the two Reaper's chains. Amidst the Reaper's furious roars, she coiled tightly around my heavily injured body. Turning into a streak of white light, she forcefully broke through and fled deep into the mountains. We ran for what felt like an eternity. At first, she tried to weave around the trees, but the eerie wail of the funeral horns behind us was growing louder and more piercing. She began sprinting in a desperate, straight line. Smash after smash, I couldn't even count how many massive trees she barreled right through. It wasn't until the wailing of the horns completely faded away that we crashed heavily into a dilapidated mountain shrine. The giant green snake coiled herself tightly around me. A cold, ghostly white light began to shimmer across her scales. Within that glow, the faint silhouette of a breathtakingly beautiful girl began to form. It was just like the time I was 9, hiding in that coffin. When I saw her in a daze, but the glowing illusion only held on for a few seconds before flickering violently. Her spiritual energy was completely drained. The white light shattered. She couldn't hold her human form. All she could do was wrap her freezing, scaly body around me, gently pressing her snout against my burning wounds. Drifting in and out of consciousness, I could feel the chaotic death aura inside me, being drawn out by her, slowly draining from my body, drop by drop. After a long while, my mind finally cleared, but she was left slumped against the ruined walls, utterly exhausted. Even lifting her head took a monumental effort. An ethereal, yet incredibly frail voice echoed directly inside my mind. I was already suffering from the frost poison. Taking that hit from the Reapers and draining your death aura. I need to go into a deep slumber for a while. Looking at her dim, slitted eyes and her body covered in gruesome gashes, my heart felt like it was being ripped apart. I didn't know what to say. With tears welling in my eyes, all I could do was hold onto her freezing body as tightly as I could. She gently flicked her tongue against my cheek. When her voice spoke in my mind again, there was an unwavering resolve. You've been relying on that borrowed vital energy to stay alive, and I need the dragon aura inside you to heal. But now, both of those things have been stolen from us. You have to take them back before the year is out. Otherwise, we're both going to die. But they already destroyed the marriage contracts. I gritted out. The humiliating scenes from the mourning hall flashed through my mind, and I clenched my fists tight. Your mother's original plan was for you to marry them. That way, every single night, you could be nourished by their vital energy, slowly purging the death aura from your body. But that was the gentle approach. There is a much more aggressive method. Aggressive? What do you mean? I asked, completely lost. It's hard to explain. The actual process is practically the same. But you have to be incredibly forceful. You have to take absolute control and break their resistance completely. If you do that, not only will your dragon aura return, you'll also be able to forcefully drain their vital energy in reverse. But how? I tried to ask more, but she gently pressed her tail against my lips to silence me. Above all else, you have to survive. You have exactly 1 year to recover all the dragon aura and vital energy. As soon as those words faded, she dissolved into a streak of light, transforming into what looked like a perfectly ordinary cyan bracelet. I stood there in the empty mountain god temple, staring down at my home that had been reduced to ashes, and swore a silent oath. I'm going to fight my way back to the city, step by agonizing step. I'll make those 5 high and mighty heiresses pay back the lives they owe me, with interest. I want to watch them climb to the very top, only to drag them down into the abyss with my own hands. 3 months later, deep inside the city's most remote alleyway, an exclusive funeral parlor named the Pavilion of Longevity opened its doors. We didn't sell your run-of-the-mill funeral wreaths or joss paper. Instead, arranged according to ancient mystical formations, were hyper-realistic, premium paper effigies. I slipped into a sharply tailored, black and gold traditional suit, put on a dark half mask, and became the enigmatic owner of this shop. I didn't have the capital to take on the 5 great families head-to-head. But these eyes of mine, they can see right through a person's fated lifespan. On our very first day of business, I made a special trip to the city's wealthiest district. From a distance, I spotted the patriarch of the Shen family, one of the 5 wealthiest tycoons, stepping into his car surrounded by a swarm of bodyguards. With just one glance, I saw a dark shadow looming over his brow. A heavy aura of death completely shrouded his head. With my own hands, I crafted a Pathfinder paper effigy, inscribed with his exact time and date of birth, and along with a pitch-black funeral invitation. I had it delivered straight to the front gates of the Shen estate. The Shen patriarch flew into a blind rage. He immediately showed up at my doorstep with his bodyguards, smashed my shop's signboard to pieces, and pointed right at my nose, cursing me out in public. I just sat there in my grand armchair, staring coldly at him through my mask. Boss Shen, there is no need to lose your temper. Within 3 days, should any tragedy befall you, your family will naturally come to me to handle your funeral arrangements. When that time comes, I guarantee the Shen family will be spared from any lingering curses. You psychotic fraud, how dare you curse me? Just you wait, the Shen patriarch laughed, completely driven mad by anger, and stormed off, cursing the whole way. But late into the night on the 3rd day, the Shen patriarch suffered a sudden, bizarre accident, and died a horrific death on the spot. The moment the news broke, a massive shockwave ripped through the city's entire circle of elites. First thing the next morning, the eldest son of the Shen family brought box after box of cold, hard cash. He dropped to his knees outside the Pavilion of Longevity, frantically kowtowing and begging me to handle the Shen family's funeral. I collected an astronomical fee, and with just a few minor tricks, quelled the lingering misfortunes haunting the Shen family. With just that single event, the title of the mysterious Mister of the Pavilion of Longevity sent absolute shockwaves throughout the entire city. Everyone knew that this Mister's black funeral invitation was basically the Grim Reaper calling your name. If you received it, you were as good as dead. But if this Mister was willing to take your business, it was like snatching a soul right back from the Reaper's grasp. I finally had the leverage I needed in this Vanity Fair, the chips to sit at the exact same table as those 5 women. After thoroughly digging up the dark secrets of the 5 great families, I locked my sights on my very first prey, the Su family heiress, Su Mengyao. Su Mengyao was fiercely ambitious. She was absolutely desperate to lead the Su family to overthrow the Zhang family and become the absolute ruler of the city's business empire. But recently, thanks to the Zhang family's secret sabotage, several of the Su family's mega projects had blown up in their faces. She was teetering right on the edge of total bankruptcy. She was a woman desperately grasping for a lifeline, making her incredibly easy to manipulate. On an evening filled with raging thunderstorms, I dispatched someone to deliver a pitch-black funeral invitation bearing her name straight to the CEO's office of the Su Corporation. At first, the arrogant Su Mengyao refused to believe in such superstitions. She even showed up at my shop with her bodyguards, screaming that I was just some street scammer. She threatened to have her guys smash my place to pieces. But lately, thanks to handling funerals for the wealthy elite, I had built up quite a bit of respect. The local neighbors, and a few powerful bosses who owed me favors, stepped up to protect me. So she couldn't pull it off. She had no choice but to storm off, spitting furious threats. I didn't care about her barking. Since she refused to believe, I was going to make her believe. Over the next 3 days, under the cover of darkness, I personally snuck into the Su family's properties. And I set up some traps along her daily routes. First, I loosened the cables on her private office elevator. It plunged halfway down the shaft, nearly killing her. Next, I anonymously leaked the fatal flaws in her investment projects, hitting her with massive lawsuits. Finally, I secretly sabotaged the brakes on her sports car. On her way home, she nearly smashed right into the back of a semi-truck. Half the front end was completely crushed. When the looming shadow of death and the sheer terror of bankruptcy finally crushed down on her, this high and mighty heiress finally bowed her arrogant head. Late into the 4th night, someone pounded on the wooden doors of the Chongqing Pavilion. It was Su Mengyao. She was completely soaked, hiding behind sunglasses and a mask. She shoved the door open in sheer panic. "Mister, please, you have to save me." She ripped off her mask. Her perfect face was twisted in absolute despair. With a heavy thud, she fell to her knees right in front of my armchair. I sat quietly in the shadows. From behind my mask, I coldly stared down at this woman. The exact same woman who, just a few months ago, filmed me in the mud just to humiliate me. "Miss Su, have you been feeling like you're hitting dead ends everywhere lately? Perhaps, even fearing for your life?" I intentionally lowered my voice, making it sound rough and bone-chilling. Truth is, it's not just because your destiny is cursed. It's really because Zhang Shuman has been secretly siphoning away your family's luck. Su Mengyao was already deeply jealous and paranoid about Zhang Shuman. Hearing those words, her head snapped up. Her eyes burned with shock and pure, venomous hatred. I knew it. It really is her. It's that little bitch. Mister, if you can just help me survive this nightmare and help me crush the Zhang family, I will give you anything you want. I let out a cold laugh. I didn't hand her any cheap mystic trinkets. Instead, I tossed a heavily detailed file folder right at her feet. It contained everything I had gathered from secretly investigating the Zhang family over the past few months. Specifically, the fatal flaws in their South City development project. Over the next month, posing as the mysterious Mr. Joe, I became the biggest shadow backer Su Mengyao ever had. At first, looking through the top-secret Zhang family files I had given her, she was completely baffled. She kept asking me how a guy running a funeral shop could get his hands on so many corporate secrets. She kept pushing to find out who I really was. I just sat in the shadows, gently swirling the wine in my glass. With the lazy, arrogant tone of someone born into real power, I told her, fortune-telling is just a little trick to throw people off. Truth be told, I'm from the capital. These files are just scraps that my subordinates casually dug up. I don't give a damn about the Zhang family's little piece of the pie. My ultimate goal is to swallow up this entire county. And I just so happen to need a completely obedient puppet. The question is, does the great Miss Su have the guts to take the job? Those words completely shattered her last line of defense. In her eyes, I had completely become an all-powerful, unfathomable wealthy heir from the capital. Her initial awe of me quickly turned into a deep obsession and a sick, twisted worship. Following my strategies to the letter, she not only miraculously brought the Su family back from the dead, but also turned the tables, snatching away the Zhang family's long-plotted massive project in the South City development zone. This move put Su Mengyao right in the spotlight among the county's socialites. She started dropping hints at various high-end cocktail parties, crazily implying that she had an incredibly powerful, all-controlling big shot from the capital as her fiancé. Using my name, she gathered a large network of people who originally depended on the Zhang family. Her arrogance even outshined Zhang Shuman for a while. I watched coldly as her ambition wildly inflated. Little did she know, the so-called fatal weaknesses of the Zhang family that I revealed to her were all just fake intel. I deliberately made up to set up this grand scheme. Only when a person falls from the highest peak do they shatter into pieces. Finally, Su Mengyao couldn't hold back anymore. To completely secure her position as the top boss in the county's business world, she booked the most luxurious hotel in town, hosting an extravagantly lavish celebration banquet. For this party, she invited all the elites, including the wealthy daughters of the 5 major families. She had long let the word out that tonight, that legendary, mysterious big shot from the capital would make a grand finale entrance as her fiancé. On the night of the banquet, with lights blazing brightly, Su Mengyao wore a deep purple evening gown studded with crushed diamonds, standing arrogantly under the spotlight. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a huge day. Su Mengyao's eyes swept provocatively over Zhang Shuman, who was sitting at the main table with a gloomy face. Starting today, our Su family will fully integrate the resources of the 5 major families. And the gentleman behind me will also officially meet everyone tonight. The whole venue erupted in thunderous applause. Everyone was eagerly waiting. Meanwhile, I was holding a glass of red wine, standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of the high-rise building opposite the hotel. I looked at my phone screen, watching Su Mengyao's incoming calls jumping continuously. And a cruel, cold smirk crept onto my lips. Time ticked by, minute by minute. Hundreds of pairs of eyes in the hall were fixed tightly on the banquet hall doors. But the doors remained tightly shut. Not a single sound. Su Mengyao's smile started to stiffen, and fine beads of cold sweat seeped from her forehead. She hid in a corner, dialing my number over and over again. But the only response she got was the cold, robotic, busy tone. Miss Su, where is that all-powerful fiancé of yours? Zhang Shuman, holding a glass of red wine, stepped gracefully up to the stage in her high heels, laughing out loud and mocking her without mercy in front of everyone. Don't tell me you deliberately made him up just to build up your own hype? How pathetic, just to steal the spotlight. You'd even spin such a trashy lie. Instantly, the whole venue burst into uncontrollable roars of laughter and whispers. Those sharp gossips instantly sliced Su Mengyao's pride into 1,000 pieces. Standing in the middle of the glamorous stage, she trembled all over. Amidst the crowd's mockery and disdainful gazes, Su Mengyao covered her face and rushed out of the banquet hall in absolute disgrace. On the top floor of the hotel, inside an absolutely private, top-tier 5 IP room, I leaned back on the sofa, waiting quietly. With a loud bang, the room door was violently pushed open. Su Mengyao stumbled in with red, teary eyes and slammed the door shut, locking it tight behind her. "Hubby, why didn't you answer my calls?" She rushed right up to me, her face full of grievance and panic. She was clearly trembling with rage, but didn't dare lash out at me. She could only force her anger down, her voice breaking with desperate sobs and pathetic pleading. "Do you have any idea how badly that little brat Zhang Shuman just humiliated me downstairs? Please, hubby, if you just come downstairs with me, I'll do anything you want." Seeing me completely unmoved, she actually started unbuttoning her shirt, tilting her head back and closing her eyes as she slowly leaned in close to my face, obediently waiting for my kiss. But the very next second, I violently shot my hand up and grabbed her by the throat. "Ah, hubby, what are you doing?" Su Mingyao's eyes snapped open in sheer terror, entirely confused as to why her deeply devoted fiancé had suddenly turned into a complete monster. I leaned in close to her ear, and dropping my disguise, I spoke in my real voice, enunciating every single word. "Miss Su, you weren't acting this affectionate when you were holding up your phone, recording a video at the funeral hall back then, were you?" Su Mingyao's entire body went rigid, her pupils dilating to the absolute limit. I slowly raised my other hand, and right in front of her face, I ripped off the dark half mask that had been hiding my true identity. By the faint light filtering in through the window, she finally got a clear look at my face. Time seemed to freeze at that exact moment. Su Mengyao, those beautiful eyes of hers that were once filled with infatuation and ambition, were now completely consumed by earth-shattering horror and bone-chilling dread. Chenin? No, that's impossible. There's no way." She let out a piercing, blood-curdling scream, struggling desperately to scramble away from me. The powerful backer she was so proud of, the godlike man she wanted to give herself to, was actually the same lowly guy she used to humiliate at every turn. "Let go of me, you filthy creep." The sheer, overwhelming humiliation drove her to absolute madness. She clawed frantically at my arm, wildly blindly grabbing a solid silver letter opener from the desk, and viciously stabbed it straight toward my chest. My eyes went ice cold. I effortlessly snatched the blade from her grip and kicked her hard in the back of the knee. With a heavy thud, this arrogant, high and mighty heiress crashed to her knees right at my feet. I let go of her, tossing a blood pact onto the carpet in front of her. "Sign this, and I'll go downstairs with you." Su Mengyao read the words on the document and started shaking with uncontrollable rage. A look of absolute defiance flashed in her eyes. "In your dreams, I would rather jump out of this window than sign anything for a pathetic loser like you." With that, she actually lunged to her feet, trying to throw herself at the floor-to-ceiling windows. My gaze hardened. I grabbed her by the hair, yanked her forcefully backward, and slammed her hard against the carpet. "Want to die?" I gripped her jaw tight, forcing her to look up at me as a cruel, mocking smirk curled onto my lips. "If you jump down there right now, what do you think is going to happen? Zhang Shuman will pop champagne downstairs to celebrate. She'll swallow up every single one of your Su family's businesses, driving your parents to an absolute dead end. But more importantly, once she finds out the truth about you, she will mock you for the rest of your life." Her laughter, I bet you'd hear it loud and clear even from 6 feet under. At the mention of Zhang Shuman, Su Mingyao's lifeless eyes suddenly jolted. Her body went limp, collapsing to her knees on the floor. I crouched down, lifted her chin, and took the chance to add, "Besides, if you die, who's going to get revenge on the Zhang family for you? And who's going to get revenge on me?" Su Mengyao glared fiercely at that piece of paper on the floor. The blood pact that symbolized eternal humiliation, her entire body trembling violently. On one hand, losing absolutely everything and being mocked to death by her worst enemy. On the other, selling her soul to become a mere servant to the boy she once knew. Trembling, she bit down on her finger, crying tears of sheer humiliation. As she pressed her bloody fingerprint onto the pact, the very moment the blood pact took effect, a crimson mark burned itself into her collarbone, before slowly fading away. From this second on, if she ever dared to disobey my orders, she would suffer an agonizing, heart-piercing pain. "It's signed. Now, can we go downstairs?" She was still clenching her jaw tight, desperately trying to hold onto her last shred of pride, turning her face away as she rushed me. It seems she still didn't quite grasp the gravity of her situation. It was time to teach her a little lesson. I let out a cold sneer and sat back down on the sofa. I looked at her and slowly drawled, "Since you've signed the blood pact, shouldn't you start acting like a proper servant? Let me hear you call me master." Su Mingyao's entire body went stiff, glaring at me with burning fury in her eyes. But the very next second, because she was resisting the blood pact, a wave of agonizing, bone-deep pain ripped through her. Su Mingyao clutched her chest in absolute agony. She held out as long as she possibly could, but finally, she dropped her head in total despair. Trembling with utter humiliation, she parted her lips. Master. Hearing that title, my anger finally subsided just a little bit. I put my mask back on, instantly shifting back into that unfathomable big shot from the capital. I led her downstairs. 5 minutes later, the grand doors of the banquet hall swung open. Under the shocked gazes of everyone in the room, Su Mingyao clung to my arm and stepped right back into the spotlight. Nobody had a clue that beneath her proudly raised head and that flawlessly forced smile on her stunning face hid a terrifying, suffocating humiliation that made her wish she was dead. She had to constantly watch my expression out of the corner of her eye, playing along with me carefully, just to finish putting on this Grand Queen's return act right in front of Zhang Shuman. That night, with my secret interventions, the various business traps set up by Zhang Shuman were effortlessly crushed by me. In fact, I even turned the tables, making the Zhang family lose several hundred million in cash flow. Zhang Shuman's face turned completely ashen, and she fled the scene in absolute disgrace. Meanwhile, under everyone's awestruck gazes, Su Mingyao was completely transformed by me into a dazzling, flawless undercover pawn. Ever since Su Mingyao was reduced to nothing but my personal puppet, I used her hands to effortlessly infiltrate the inner networks of the 5 great families. Even though she hated my absolute guts, under the absolute suppression of the blood pact, driven by her hatred for the Zhang family, she had no choice but to do exactly as she was told. Whenever she screwed up or tried to play smart, she would suffer the agonizing pain of 10,000 ants gnawing at her heart. She could only kneel at my feet, dripping in cold sweat, begging for mercy. 1 month later, Su Mingyao risked her life to smuggle a top-secret notebook out of the Zhang family's hidden room. Looking through that notebook, I finally uncovered the truth behind this shocking, 18-year-long conspiracy. It turned out, there was never some mysterious expert from the outside world. The one truly pulling the strings behind the scenes was the head of the Zhang family himself, Zhang Deshan. That old fox. On the surface, he acted like some great, charitable saint. But in the shadows, he was secretly practicing a vile, dark art. He used the vast wealth of the Zhang family to secretly tamper with the core of the 5 elements coffin array that my mother set up back then. Not only did he intercept the dragon energy the villagers received from me, and the energy I borrowed from them, he even used the array to secretly siphon off the dragon energy from the other 4 major families. I can understand him absorbing the dragon energy for the sake of fortune. But what was his purpose in absorbing the life energy? Don't tell me he's just like me, and isn't among the living either? Master. Su Mingyao knelt beside me, trembling all over with rage. Zhang Deshan, that old bastard. How are we going to deal with him next? HMPH. He'll dig his own grave sooner or later. But we can certainly give him a little push. I stared at a blurry photo in the notebook and let out a cold laugh. The photo showed the golden coffin my mother made for the Zhang family back then, the chief of the 5 elements. Right now, the snakeskin sealing the coffin lid was completely covered in a dense web of cracks. Because the Zhang family pushed the 5 elements coffin past its limits, the molted snakeskin on the lid is on the verge of giving out. Once that coffin bursts open, the Zhang family will definitely suffer a massive backlash. No wonder Zhang Shuman insisted on taking your cyan bracelet that day. So it was all to get the snake skin and repair the coffin. To think that all 4 of us were completely played by her. Su Mingyao exclaimed, suddenly realizing the truth. She gritted her teeth. Master, what should we do now? Should we just leak this out and team up with the other 3 families to wipe out the Zhangs? Su Mingyao asked urgently. Do you really think I'm some untouchable prince from the capital? When it comes to true power, even if your 4 families joined forces, you still wouldn't stand a chance against the Zhang family. I stood up, staring through the dim window of the Pavilion of Immortality. A cold smirk crept onto my face. Since she wants snake skin to patch up her coffin so badly, we'll personally hand-deliver her a piece. Turn to face Su Mengyao. Mengyao, this is the final battle. Go use every single resource you have and leak a rumor to the public. Spread the word that at the underground black market auction in exactly 1 month, a staggeringly rare, 1,000-year-old snakeskin will be up for grabs. I am going to make the Zhang family bleed their entire fortune dry for this snakeskin, and doom them to eternal ruin. 1 month later, in the town's most hidden underground black market, an exclusive, top-tier auction finally opened its doors. Su Mengyao had followed my orders perfectly. Not only had she whipped the rumors of the 1,000-year-old snakeskin into an absolute frenzy, she even made sure to specially invite the heiresses of the other 3 major families to the event. I sat quietly on the 2nd floor, tucked away in the most completely concealed VIP booth. I looked down at the bustling, crowded venue below. On the stage, the auctioneer finally pulled back the red cloth. And right before everyone's eyes, a massive snakeskin, emitting a faint, eerie glow, was revealed. And now for tonight's grand finale, a 1,000-year-old snakeskin. I turned to look at Su Mengyao next to me and casually asked, "How much cash does the Su family still have on hand?" A flash of embarrassment crossed Su Mengyao's face. Bracing herself, she whispered, "Master, we barely have anything left after that victory banquet. There's only 30 million right now." Before Su Mengyao could even finish, the auctioneer's voice rang out from downstairs. "Starting at 100 million. My hand holding the teacup froze for a second. I shot her a speechless look. Su Mengyao glanced back at me, sweating profusely. "Master, I'll try to stall them." Downstairs, Zhang Deshan stared at the snakeskin. With the crazed eyes of a gambler, he shouted, 200 million. Zhang Deshan raised his paddle without hesitation, determined to win at all costs. 300 million. From the 2nd floor VIP room, Su Mengyao coldly raised her paddle. This sudden, astronomical bid made the entire crowd gasp in shock. A staff member immediately rushed into our room, wanting to verify our funds. Su Mengyao took a deep breath, and the arrogant aura of a wealthy heiress instantly erupted. She shot him a razor-sharp death glare. "What? It's only 300 million, and you want me, the head of the Su family, to verify my funds? Do you have any idea who is sitting right behind me? Get lost." Staff member froze under her intense pressure. After all, he had definitely heard the rumors about the Su family clinging to a powerful prince from the capital. He frantically apologized and backed out of the room. Sitting in the shadows, I nodded in satisfaction. 500 million. Zhang Deshan's face paled, and he gritted his teeth as he raised the bid. Su Mengyao remained completely expressionless as the price skyrocketed. The air in the entire auction hall seemed to freeze. When the bids hit a suffocating 1.5 billion, Zhang Deshan completely lost his mind. He suddenly jumped to his feet, unleashing the terrifying aura of a family head, pointing right at Su Mengyao on the 2nd floor. His voice boomed with absolute authority. "You little Su family brat. You have no respect for the rules. Are you representing the Su family and declaring an all-out war against our 4 great families?" Faced with such a massive accusation, cold sweat broke out on Su Mengyao's forehead. She instinctively glanced over at me. I gave a slight nod, signaling her to push the Zhang family straight to a dead end. Su Mengyao wiped her sweat, and her icy voice echoed across the hall. "Uncle Zhang, at an auction, money is power. If your Zhang family can't even afford this much, do you really have the nerve to declare war on my Su family?" Then, Su Mengyao raised her paddle again. 2.8 billion. Zhang Deshan was shaking with absolute rage, but this snakeskin. He absolutely had to win it today. His eyes were bloodshot. He ordered Zhang Shuman to immediately gather all their land deeds. 3 billion. Zhang Deshan's voice was clearly trembling. Su Mengyao looked at me, let out a soft chuckle, and put her paddle down. Sold for 3 billion. As the auctioneer's hammer slammed down, Zhang Deshan collapsed into his chair, drenched in sweat, but a ruthless glint flashed in his eyes. To get this snakeskin, he had not only drained every drop of the Zhang family's cash flow, but even mortgaged their core businesses. Now, he had no choice but to launch his plan early. Sure enough, right after the auction ended, Zhang Deshan suddenly stepped onto the stage and invited everyone present, hoping we'd all follow him to the Zhang family villa to witness the miraculous power of this 1,000-year-old snakeskin. With my expertise in reading people and sensing auras, I naturally saw right through his intentions. This invitation was almost certainly a deadly trap. Accompanying him weren't just those 3 wealthy heiresses, but also several prominent local tycoons acting as his entourage. Everyone half-willingly got into the Zhang family's cars, and I brought Su Mengyao along to follow them. The remote mountain villa was built on a site of extreme yin energy. We followed a secret underground passage all the way down. To my surprise, hidden deep beneath the villa was a massive, fully structured main tomb chamber. Right in the center of the chamber sat a massive golden coffin. The snakeskin that originally sealed the coffin's lid was already torn with countless cracks. I opened my yin-yang eyes, and could clearly see wisps of golden dragon aura leaking right out from those very cracks. As everyone was led into this eerie tomb, looking at the bizarre scene before them, a wave of intense dread washed over the group. A few of the tycoons even wanted to back out, but Zhang Deshan's eyes were filled with pure greed. He carefully held up the 1,000-year-old snakeskin, slowly laying it out to cover the top of the coffin, trying to patch up those cracks. The moment the divine relic covered the lid, it fit perfectly, without a single gap. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light erupted, and the 5 elements array, which had been on the verge of collapsing, miraculously sprang back to life. Ha 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 ha, it's done, it's finally done. Zhang Deshan burst into maniacal laughter. He whipped around to face the crowd behind him, his eyes exploding with unfiltered greed and pure murderous intent. Uncle Zhang. What are you doing? The 3 heiresses and the big shots stumbled backward in sheer terror. The very next second, Zhang Deshan threw his arms wide open. Instantly, streaks of blood-red light shot out from the array, acting like solid tentacles that tightly ensnared the 3 girls and every living person in the room. Then, an utterly horrifying scene unfolded. Pure white life force from everyone's bodies was being relentlessly siphoned out. It transformed into streaks of white light and rushed straight into Zhang Deshan's body. Meanwhile, the dazzling golden dragon aura seeping from the coffin was entirely funneled into his daughter, Zhang Shuman, who stood nearby. Chen En's true dragon aura is exactly what I need to reforge my daughter's destiny as a true phoenix. This will secure the Zhang family's empire as the wealthiest in the region for a century. Zhang Deshan, reveling in the surging power within him, roared like a madman. As for the life force of you pathetic nobodies, it will help me be reborn anew. So, that was it. Using the dragon aura to feed their fortune, and stealing life force to extend his own lifespan. This was the massive, heaven-defying scheme the Zhang family had been plotting for 18 years. Standing right in the center of the array, Zhang Shuman, soaked in the baptism of the golden dragon aura, her already arrogant face twisted into an expression of absolute, insufferable smugness. But just as the father and daughter were lost in their perfect fantasy, the 1,000-year-old snakeskin on top of the coffin suddenly flickered with a deeply sinister, black glow. Then, a deafening explosion ripped through the center of the main tomb. The snakeskin instantly detonated the terrifying, concentrated energy that had been building inside the coffin for 18 years. The flow of the array violently reversed. Zhang Shuman and Zhang Deshan were instantly hit by a devastating backlash. Zhang Shuman violently coughed up a massive mouthful of black blood, the golden dragon aura that had just been forced into her body. Shattered in an instant, she clutched her chest in sheer agony and collapsed to the floor. Her once pale, noble, and stunningly beautiful face was now completely drained of color. No, this is impossible. My fortune. Zhang Shuman screamed in agony. It seems, Patriarch Zhang is quite pleased with the snake slew I so carefully prepared for him. Accompanied by a chilling voice, I violently kicked the doors of the main tomb wide open. Dressed all in black, I led Su Mengyao as we slowly descended the stone steps. Under the horrified gazes of Zhang Deshan and Zhang Shuman, I let out a cold sneer and ripped off the half mask on my face. It's you, that dead boy the Chen family took in all those years ago. Zhang Deshan glared at me intensely. I completely ignored him and walked straight over to Zhang Shuman, who was kneeling on the ground in absolute agony. I slowly lifted her chin. Long time no see. Did you miss me, my dearest fiancé? Chen En, how are you still alive? You were dead. I saw you stop breathing. Zhang Shuman's eyes were brimming with pure terror. Everything the Zhang family stole from me. Today, you're going to spit it all back out, with interest. I stood up with a freezing glare, turning my gaze to Zhang Deshan. It is time for the Zhang family to pay with your lives. However, Zhang Deshan didn't break down and beg for mercy like I had expected. He steadied his breathing and slowly got back up. The shock in his eyes gradually faded away, replaced by a kind of hysterical, twisted madness. What a brilliant trick you pulled. Chen In, I admit, I completely underestimated your family. Zhang Deshan stood up straight and violently ripped off his expensive silk suit, revealing a severely shriveled torso, covered entirely in grotesque, bulging black veins. What a pity, you are still far too young. Do you have any idea why I had to absorb that life force? Zhang Deshan's voice twisted into an eerie rasp. Because, just like you, I was once a dead man too. As soon as those words dropped, everyone in the room gasped in sheer horror. In the very next second, they realized Zhang Deshan's body was undergoing a terrifying mutation. His spine arched up grotesquely, violently tearing open to sprout two massive, fleshy wings covered in coarse black hair. His jawbone elongated bizarrely, exposing a mouth full of razor-sharp fangs. Those once cloudy, human eyes instantly morphed into glowing, blood-red vertical slits. Everyone froze in shock. No one could have ever imagined that the patriarch of the Zhang family was actually a long-dead bad demon. I will swallow you all alive today, and use your blood as a sacrifice. Zhang Deshan let out a deafening, monstrous roar. He fiercely flapped those massive, fleshy wings, turning into a terrifying blur as he lunged straight for me. He was too fast. With a sickening crash, an overwhelmingly terrifying force slammed brutally into my chest. My entire body was sent flying backwards like a kite with a snapped string, crashing heavily against the solid stone wall. My internal organs screamed in agony, feeling as though they had been ruptured. I violently coughed up a massive mouthful of blood. Master, Su Mengyao covered her mouth in horror. She tried to rush over to help me, but was instantly blown away by the terrifying shockwave radiating from Zhang Deshan. Seeing this unfold, Zhang Shuman, who had just been rolling on the ground in agony, instantly lost all the fear in her eyes. Instead, she burst into a maniacal, twisted laughter. She staggered to her feet and slowly walked over, looming right in front of me. Chen In, oh, Chen In, you really are just a pathetic little worm. I might as well let you in on another little secret. Your mother's illness actually could have been cured, but if she lived, she would have always been a threat to us. So we just paid them off to change her medical records. You bastards! Fighting through the pain, I grabbed her by the throat, but Zhang Deshan just glared at me, and the sheer force of it knocked me to the ground. Zhang Shuman looked down at me bleeding on the floor, and stomped her foot hard on my chest. She leaned in close to my face, and hissed viciously, I'm going to crush your bones, inch by inch, and then I'll skin that dead snake of yours alive. With that, she violently yanked the cyan bracelet right off my wrist. I gritted my teeth, my eyes burning blood red. I desperately channeled the aura of death inside me. Soon, the haunting sound of a suona echoed in the distance. Leave no survivors, kill them all. Zhang Shuman cackled like a maniac. Zhang Deshan let out a cold snort, his giant wings flapping. A foul, blood-scented gale instantly swept through the main tomb. In a flash, he snatched up a wealthy merchant who was paralyzed with fear on the floor. He opened his massive, bloody jaws and bit down hard on the man's neck. Gulp, gulp. A horrifying sound of blood being sucked echoed through the dead silence of the tomb. The merchant didn't even have time to scream, as his body shriveled up right before our eyes. He died instantly. Tastes pretty good. Too bad the meat isn't tender enough. Zhang Deshan sneered, tossing the dried corpse aside. He turned his glowing red eyes, staring greedily at the three remaining rich girls, and at Su Mengyao, who was cowering in the corner. Chen In, please save me. We were wrong back then. The three girls crawled toward me in absolute despair, but the bat demon had already silently drifted right above their heads, drooling with hunger. But right at that moment, the sky and earth violently changed colors. A deafening rumble tore through the air. The pitch-black night sky was instantly lit up by 5 massive pillars of light, each a different color, shooting straight into the heavens. Those 5 beams of light were blasting right out of the estates of the 5 great families, including this very place. Piercing the clouds, their colors matched the 5 elements perfectly: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Could it be the 5 elements coffin my mom built all those years ago? As the 5 pillars of light merged high up in the sky, a colossal summoning circle, so massive it blocked out the sky, exploded into existence right above the mountain villa. An ancient, desolate, and absolutely terrifying pressure radiating the aura of the primeval ages. Crushed down from the heavens, suffocating every single person there. The heavens looked like they were being ripped apart by invisible giant hands. Amidst the deafening roar of thunder, a terrifying, monstrous black dragon emerged. Its scales were as hard as steel, carrying a violent aura that could destroy everything in its path. Drawn by this incredibly dense dragon energy, and bound by karma, it was forcefully summoned into our world. The arrogant smile on Zhang Shumen's face instantly froze. The demonic dragon circled in the air, its giant, cold, and merciless slit eyes pierced right through the shattered roof of the villa. It didn't even spare me a single glance. Instead, it locked its deadly gaze entirely on that bad demon reeking of dragon energy. Then, the dragon unleashed a soul-shattering roar. It opened its massive bloody jaws wide enough to swallow a truck whole. Like a bolt of black lightning, it completely obliterated the roof of the villa, and dive-bombed straight toward Zhang Deshan with world-ending fury. No, what the hell is that thing? Get away from me, get away! Zhang Deshan let out a shrieking, desperate scream. He frantically flapped his fleshy wings, trying to escape, but the monstrous dragon was just too fast. With a sickening crunch, followed by the horrific sound of bones shattering into pieces, the demonic dragon bit down hard on the mangled half of Zhang Deshan's body, violently tossing its head back, swallowing the bad demon that stole our village's life force completely whole. Smacking her lips, still hungry for more, her massive, coiled body loomed over the shattered ruins of the main burial chamber, her cold, slitted eyes slowly darting around. Her scarlet, forked tongue greedily flicked toward Zhang Shumen, who was already paralyzed with fear on the ground, along with the other 3 wealthy heiresses shivering in the corner, as if deciding which little appetizer to devour first. But a split second later, the demonic dragon's deadly gaze swept right past them, locking dead onto me. What a pure dragon aura! Think a delicacy like you still exists in this world. Then, with a deafening roar that shook the very heavens, the beast abandoned the 4 women without a second thought. She threw her massive, blood-stained jaws wide open and dive-bombed straight for me. Just in the nick of time, a sharp crack echoed through the air. The green bracelet on the ground shattered into a million pieces. A blinding burst of green light shot straight up into the sky. And right after, the massive phantom of a green snake materialized right in front of the dragon, fearlessly facing those terrifying jaws head-on. Boom, a massive shockwave hit, and the green snake was sent flying by the dragon's overwhelming power. Mid-air, she transformed back into a young girl in green, crashing down right in front of me. She was gasping for air, blood spilling uncontrollably from the corner of her mouth. What the hell is going on? I asked, rushing to help her up. She coughed up another violent mouthful of blood, and choked out, This is the deal your mother made with me years ago. She knew her days were numbered. She was terrified that after she passed, these 5 families would betray us and bite the hand that fed them. So, deep inside the 5 elements coffin, she left behind a hidden array. The moment you, the very core of it all, were critically injured, your dragon aura would spiral out of control, triggering the array. It was meant to summon the demonic dragon sealed beneath this town, to wipe out absolutely everyone in sight. And once I grew strong enough, I was supposed to use the chaos to help you escape. After revealing everything, the girl locked eyes with the terrifying beast hovering above us. Her voice was filled with absolute resolve. Chen-in, I'll hold her off, you need to run, now. But I just stood there, my expression dark and unreadable. I didn't move an inch. Chen-in, what are you doing? Run. I completely ignored her desperate pleas. Instead, I walked straight toward the 3 heiresses who were desperately crawling toward me. Chen-in, please, save us. We were so wrong before. I pulled 3 blood packs from my jacket and tossed them onto the dirt right in front of them. You want to live? Sign them. I glared down at them with absolute contempt. My voice was as cold as a death sentence. Sign the blood pact, cut ties with your precious, privileged destinies, and give me back the dragon aura that is rightfully mine. By now, the demonic dragon was lunging straight for me. The girl in green pushed her magic to the absolute limit, summoning a glowing green barrier around herself to block the monster's path. Chen-in, taking your dragon aura back right now will only make that monster want you more. Why are you even bothering with them? With my back turned to her, I let out a heavy sigh. In the dead silence of the ruined tomb, My voice rang out crystal clear. Because you lied to me. The girl shuddered, standing there as if she had been struck by lightning. You never planned to escape with me, did you? I turned around, looking into her clear eyes. In the trap my mother set, you were nothing but a sacrificed pawn, right? If that demonic dragon eats you, it could ascend into a true dragon, and naturally, it would never come after me again. Your mother had no other choice. If you don't leave right now, we're both going to die. Suddenly, with a deafening screech, the demonic dragon brought a suffocating, bloody gale. It knocked the girl in green aside, and dive-bombed straight toward me. I ignored the beast. Instead, I stared deeply at the girl in green. I don't care what kind of deal my mother made with you back then. That has nothing to do with me. Because the one playing the game now isn't her, it's me. And I refuse to let you die. Saying that, I slowly turned around and looked up at the demonic dragon, my eyes erupting with an unprecedented, violent rage. The sky turned pitch black. Ghastly winds howled through the entire tomb. The demonic dragon's speed grew slower and slower. I spread my arms wide. 4 beams of blood-red light flared from the collarbones of the 4 girls bound to my blood pact. Immediately after, the overwhelming dragon aura inside them, along with the aura scattered in the air from the shattered coffin, all transformed into countless, dazzling golden specks of light, like hundreds of rivers rushing into the sea. They surged violently into my body. Nobody gets out of here today. I threw my head back and let out a furious roar, unleashing the aura of death from my entire body without holding anything back. A black aura of death, so thick it felt solid, accompanied by a blinding golden dragon aura, exploded from within me. I was lifted up by this terrifying power. Slowly levitating in mid-air, the intertwining gold and black lights behind my back slowly began to form the massive, phantom silhouette of a black bone dragon. Everyone present who saw this, including the girl in green, stared with their eyes wide open. In that very moment, I finally understood my true origins. The dragon aura inside me wasn't absorbed from the dragon coffin. It was exactly the opposite. The reason it was called the dragon coffin was because its master, me, was a dragon in my past life. The very next second, the wailing, piercing sound of a Suona horn echoed all around us. The temperature in the main tomb plummeted to freezing point. Several phantom figures of underworld envoys, wearing tall hats and wielding soul-reaping chains, stepped through the walls on the ghostly winds. Their eyes locked dead onto me as I hovered in the air. Chenin, don't do this. The girl in green watched the envoys closing in on me, covering her mouth in absolute despair. I ignored the envoys completely. Instead, I walked on thin air, stepping right toward that demonic dragon coiling in the sky. My voice echoed violently through the entire tomb. You have exactly 1 Suona song left to live. Before the song ends, I am going to devour you. Hearing this, the demonic dragon trembled violently. Its slit eyes filled with pure terror. It hastily spoke in the human tongue. Calm down. You and I both belong to the same dragon lineage. There is no need for mutual destruction. Retract your aura of death right now, and I will leave this town immediately. Just let me leave. Ha 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 ha. I let out a cold, maniacal laugh. As long as this demonic dragon breathes, it will forever be a threat to the green snake. And as for me, I'm already a dead dragon. What does it matter if I die one more time? The very next second, the phantom of the black-bone dragon behind me let out a heaven-shaking roar. The evil dragon was completely panicked. It violently whipped its tail, trying to smash through the tomb's ceiling and make a run for it. I took a sudden, heavy step forward. A ring of black ripples echoed through the void beneath my feet. In a flash, I vanished from my spot. The very next second, I appeared right above the dragon's head out of nowhere. I raised my right foot and gently tapped the tip of my toe right onto the top of its head. But the dragon reacted as if it had been struck by a meteor. It slammed straight into the ground in an instant, kicking up a massive cloud of dust. And as the dust finally settled, its massive body was sunken deep into the earth, its head completely crushed to pieces. A glowing dragon core rolled right out of the wreckage. I landed quietly at the edge of the crater, gasping heavily for air. The aura of death surrounding my body had grown so thick it was suffocating. Phantom reapers slowly closed in around me. Their cold, dead voices carried absolutely zero human emotion. The soul chains in their hands rattled loudly, radiating an unstoppable law of the underworld. Suddenly, they lunged the chains straight for my neck. Because I was already a creature of death, I was naturally suppressed by them. I didn't have a single ounce of strength to fight back. All I could do was quietly wait for my final judgment. But, right at the exact moment those icy chains were about to touch me, a beautiful figure in green rushed over recklessly, blocking the chains with her own body. She held me tight, desperately. She gently cupped my face in her hands and kissed me with those cold, soft lips. Then, I felt a burst of incredibly pure energy rushing right through her lips into my body. And at that very same moment, the overwhelming aura of death on me, so thick it could summon a heavenly curse, was somehow entirely, violently sucked right into her own body. I desperately tried to push her away, but my whole body was weak and powerless. All I could do was watch helplessly as her beautiful body slowly faded into a dull, lifeless gray. The very next second, the soul chains changed their target. They clamped down tightly around the poor girl's neck, who was now radiating the dark aura of death. The Phantom Reapers gave it a brutal yank, and her fragile body was instantly dragged toward the dark, gaping abyss of the underworld that cracked open beneath us. Let her go. I reached out desperately, trying to grab her hand, but the girl just let the cold chains drag her down into the endless darkness. She looked right at me and gave a heartbreakingly beautiful smile. "Chenin, you guessed wrong. I was never an abandoned pawn. Years ago, when your mother caught me at the Cave of 10,000 Phantoms, she asked me why I was even there. I told her I was waiting for a dragon. 1,000 years ago, she fell to the mortal realm just to save me. Your mother cast a fortune for me. She told me that if I just protected you for 18 years and helped you survive your death tribulation, she would help me find that dragon." The young girl stared right at the majestic phantom of a true dragon that was slowly forming behind my back. Her smile showed an endless sense of relief and deep, genuine love. "I always thought it was just a deal. But today, I finally understand. That wasn't a deal at all. It was our destiny, yours and mine." And as her final, fading words echoed away, the dark abyss slammed shut. She was dragged deep underground by the Reapers forever, leaving me completely alone, just standing there, in the middle of these shattered, scarred ruins. My head started throbbing with intense pain. Memories from my past life began rushing straight into my mind, colliding violently with the memories of my current life. I weakly pounded my fists against the hard ground as my emotions completely spiraled out of control. Suddenly, my eyes snapped open. I grabbed the dragon core off the ground and swallowed it whole in a single gulp. The moment the core hit my stomach, a massive surge of draconic life force, the pure young energy she had just passed to me, exploded within my body. The aura of life and death finally formed a perfect cycle within me. In that moment, I transformed into a true dragon, breaking right through the boundary of life and death. Those ugly, black snake scales on my body peeled off layer by layer, replaced by blinding golden scales radiating a divine, blinding light. And that lifeless, ancient dragon phantom behind me suddenly surged with flesh and blood, turning into a radiant, five-clawed true dragon. I tilted my head back and unleashed a furious roar that shook the very heavens. My body turned into a streak of golden light and charged straight toward where the girl had vanished. With a massive boom, I used my bare claws to violently tear open the rift to the underworld that had just closed, fighting against that demonic aura from the abyss, a force that felt like it would crush my very soul. I dove straight down into the underworld without a second thought, into the endless darkness. I became a bloodthirsty god of death. My golden dragon claws shredded any evil spirit that dared stand in my way. My earth-shattering roar forced back 100,000 phantom soldiers. I don't even know how long I slaughtered them. Maybe it was days. Finally, after carving a bloody path through the river of forgetfulness and crushing the bridge of helplessness beneath my feet, I looked up at the Hall of Yama and saw that familiar cyan silhouette, and King Yama himself was slowly emerging from the absolute depths of the hall. An overwhelming, terrifying aura of the underworld suffocated the entire space. Meanwhile, back at the ruins of the Zhang family tomb, sunlight pierced through the heavy clouds. Of the original 5 great families, now, except for the Zhang family, the other 4 had all sworn a blood pact with me. They turned these ruins into a grand cemetery. Deep inside the cemetery, they enshrined a single cyan bracelet. Every single week, the heiresses of the 4 families would bring their people to bow before the bracelet, offering their prayers and repentance. And as the days passed by, The dwindling fortunes of the four families finally stopped falling, and actually began to recover. But the Zhang family, they faced absolute divine retribution after what they did. Their businesses completely collapsed. They were utterly stripped of their title as one of the 5 great families. In the center of the ruins, Zhang Shuman sobbed, begging to enter and pay her respects, but the guards of the 4 families ruthlessly blocked her path. "Chenin, please, please, forgive me," Zhang Shuman cried out, staring at the distant bracelet. In sheer desperation, not everyone deserves to be forgiven. Even I don't expect my own sins to be forgiven. I'm only here out of guilt and gratitude. Su Mengyao stepped right up to Zhang Shuman with the other 3 heiresses, telling her coldly. "But you? What have you been doing all these years? What makes you think you deserve forgiveness? Don't ever come back here." But right at that moment, the ground suddenly began to shake violently. With a deafening crack, the heavy stone slabs in the center of the ruins blew apart. A blinding pillar of golden light erupted from the earth, shooting straight up into the clouds. As the crowd screamed in shock, I slowly ascended from the gaping abyss, holding the unconscious girl in cyan tightly in my arms. I finally set foot on the mortal realm again. My body was still dripping with the bone-chilling, icy aura of the underworld, my eyes burning with absolute dominance. "Master," the absolute second she saw me appear, Su Mengyao's legs completely gave out, and she dropped heavily to her knees. Seeing this, the other 3 heiresses immediately fell to their knees as well. They didn't even dare to breathe. When Zhang Shuman saw me, it was like she had just found her last lifeline. She threw away all her pride, crawling desperately to my feet, and grabbed onto my leg for dear life. "Chenin, no, master, I was wrong. I'm willing to sign a blood pact with you. I'll slave away for you." Zhang Shuman wept bitterly, begging me on her knees. But I couldn't even be bothered to look at her. "You think you're worthy? If you want to sign a pact, sign it with my 4 servants. I'll deal with you later when I have the time." Zhang Shuman lowered her head in absolute despair and crawled over to Su Mengyao and the others. In front of my mother's memorial, I knelt on the ground, holding the girl in green in my arms. This place had been declared a sacred sanctuary. Every year, people from the county would come to maintain it and pay their respects. A gentle breeze brushed past. The eyelashes of the girl in my arms fluttered slightly. She slowly opened those crystal clear eyes. I gave her a gentle smile, and softly held her ice-cold hand. But this brief moment of peace didn't last long. High up in the heavens, the sky that had just cleared up was instantly swallowed by pitch-black tribulation clouds. The sea of clouds was violently torn apart. A blinding golden light erupted. Heavenly soldiers and divine generals descended, forming an inescapable net right across the sky. I knew it then. The heavenly punishment had arrived. I had forcefully broken into the underworld and reversed life and death. I had completely shattered the laws of nature. The heavens would never let me live. I gently pushed her away and laid her safely on the ground. I stood up, looked to the heavens, and let out a deafening dragon's roar. Transforming into a dazzling golden dragon, I soared into the sky, ready to face my destiny head-on. In an instant, dozens of god-binding chains, sparking with lightning, violently shot out from the clouds. They mercilessly pierced right through my dragon bones. Immediately after, massive bolts of heavenly lightning struck down through the chains. It shattered my scales piece by piece. The agonizing pain felt like thousands of blades piercing my heart. Just as my consciousness was about to fade away, a sudden anomaly appeared in the sky above. The pitch-black tribulation clouds began to churn violently, a force far more brutal than the heavenly punishment. An absolutely desperate surge of power shot into the sky. A brilliant green light pierced through the darkness like thousands of swords. The terrifying phenomenon was 100 times more intense than when the evil dragon was born. It was the dragon transformation tribulation. I struggled to open my eyes, only to see a fearless, beautiful silhouette in green soaring right past me. With a suicidal, world-destroying aura, she charged straight at those arrogant heavenly soldiers and divine generals. In that instant, I understood everything. To save me, she had forcefully triggered the deadly dragon transformation tribulation, even though her cultivation level was nowhere near ready. She was using her own tribulation to clash head-on with the heavenly punishment. She wanted to drag those heavenly soldiers down with her and perish together. "No," I screamed in absolute despair, but drowned out by the terrified shouts of the heavenly soldiers and an explosion that shattered the sky. She transformed into a massive green snake, charged into the barrage of divine lightning, and blew herself up. The sheer force of the terrifying explosion instantly snapped the god-binding chains holding me captive. In the split second that the void was torn open, she used the very last ounce of her strength to take the single wisp of my true spirit, the one that hadn't been completely wiped out by the heavenly punishment, and forcefully drove it deep into the raging dragon vein at the bottom of the Yellow River. I don't know how much time had passed. By the banks of the roaring Yellow River, a green snake, completely covered in horrific wounds, lay dying and coiled up in the reeds. Day after day, she gazed into the turbulent waters, for sleeping at the bottom of this river was the wisp of the true dragon's soul that she had desperately sacrificed her life to protect. Being reincarnated into a new body was practically impossible, but she kept waiting anyway. Through every sunrise and sunset, through every passing season, 1 day, 2 days, 1 year, 2 years, 100 years of changing tides, 1,000 years of shifting stars, through wind, frost, snow, and rain, that green snake remained coiled by the Yellow River, never leaving its side. Until one day, a woman bathing by the riverbank caught the eye of the wandering Dragon King. Before she could even react, he forcibly dragged her back to his dragon palace. But who would have thought, barely half a month later, the woman's belly began to swell. At first, she was overjoyed, thinking she was about to become the mighty mother of dragons. But when the Dragon King found out, he wasn't thrilled at all. Instead, he flew into a blind rage. He locked her away in a water dungeon and roared, "As soon as that spawn is born, I will devour the little brat. It will boost my powers by 100 years. You see, the old Dragon King had figured it out. That baby wasn't his flesh and blood at all. It was actually that pure, true dragon spirit from the depths of the Yellow River, reincarnating through her womb. Desperate to see her baby grow up safe and sound, she used every last ounce of her strength on the day she gave birth to escape that watery hell. She then entrusted her newborn baby to a green snake by the Yellow River, one that had just failed its heavenly tribulation. Weak and fading, she pleaded, "Please, you must protect my son. He is a child of dragons. One day, he will surely repay you." The moment those words left her lips, her strength completely gave out. She was swept away by the raging waves of the Yellow River, vanishing into the churning currents. But unexpectedly, in the very next second, that battered and bloodied green snake flicked its tongue and magically transformed into a breathtakingly beautiful girl in a flowing green dress. She carefully cradled the infant tight against her chest, and as she looked into the baby's eyes, shimmering with a faint, dark golden light, a single tear rolled down the girl's cheek.